Watching Singin' in the Rain today, some people might think the endless musical numbers and dances are a bit over the top. I personally still find them absolutely enchanting, and I believe they always will be, but as in all Hollywood classics, hidden beneath the spectacle and catchy choreography, we may find timeless lessons for our own lives. The movie starts by giving us a glimpse into Hollywood stars, a world of glamour on the surface, but shallow and chaotic underneath. Adored by the public, these so-called stars are unable to maintain real relationships, with marriages that rarely lasted more than a couple of months. It's the tension between appearance and reality that sets the stage, a life of fame and fabricated glory versus the emptiness behind it. Don Lockwood himself, while recounting his story, makes this contrast clear. Hollywood fabricated a polished version of his past, while the reality was far harsher. Yes, he achieved his dream, but only through relentless, back-breaking work, and in a very different way he imagined. Before fame, he and his friend Roscoe endured small-time shows across the country, being booed, yet still believing in their art, even working as stunt doubles in dangerous gigs, until one sudden break finally brought them success. And of course, even after making it, as a big Hollywood star, Don still had to maintain the illusions, playing the part for the public and pretending to have a warm partnership with his co-star Lena Lamont, a woman he despised off-screen. This duality exposes a deeper truth, the risk of losing ourselves in a false image of our own work. Amid that superficial environment, what grounded Don was his humility and his commitment to dignified work, no matter how dazzling Hollywood seemed. Together with Roscoe, he resisted the pull of hollow fame and superficial glory. What endured between them was real friendship, genuine bonds, not the artificial connections manufactured by Hollywood's star system. In the end, neither Don nor Roscoe sought fame for its own sake. What mattered was the craft, the effort, and the dignity of pursuing it with integrity.
But most important of all, I continue living up to my motto: dignity. Always dignity.
After all, this false glamour of fame, as Roscoe points out, comes with a steep price. Living under constant gossip, trapped in loneliness, unable even to walk the streets without being attacked and consumed by fans, treated like an animal or an object of shallow adoration. It's in this environment that Kathy Selden enters the story. Unlike everyone else, she doesn't bow before Don Lockwood just because he's a star. Instead, she raises an uncomfortable but important question about Hollywood itself, the very world Don represents. Is Hollywood truly capable of producing real art, or is it reduced to empty cliches?
If you've seen one, you've seen them all.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, no offense. Movies are entertaining enough for the masses, but the personalities on the screen just don't impress me. I mean, they don't talk, they don't act, they just make a lot of dumb show.
Compared to theater, which she claims is a dignified profession, isn't cinema merely a second-class form of mass entertainment looked down on by serious artists? Her sharp criticism puts her on a pedestal, seemingly above Lockwood. Yet, paradoxically, while defending the superiority of theater, Kathy too must confront reality. At the end of the day, she has bills to pay, and finds herself drawn into the very Hollywood system she criticizes. And indeed, if we look at most of the people who live in that world, we could truly say Hollywood is nothing but dark and rotten, as shown in the movie through the character of Lena Lamont. On screen, she's adored, admired, and idealized, the beautiful partner of Don Lockwood in the silent era. But behind the curtains, Lena is envious, vindictive, and shallow. Out of pure jealousy, she tries to sabotage Kathy Selden's career. Her beauty and fame are nothing more than facades, hiding a corrupt interior. More than just a villain, Lena represents what happens when someone has its worldview and very sense of reality shaped and deformed by the media publicity machine. While Don remains grounded in reality, Lena is carried away by the fabricated world of glory and fame. She lives entirely off gossip, magazine lies, and fabricated publicity, no longer able to distinguish truth from propaganda.
A shimmering, glowing star in the cinema firmament. It says so. Right there.
Even the producer, anxious to protect his empire, is manipulated by her arrogance and delusions of grandeur. Thankfully, believing she can control everything, even exceeding her own role, her fake sense of self-importance, detached from reality, becomes the seed of her downfall.
You're always running things, running me. But from now on, as far as I'm concerned, I'm running things.
Sooner or later, the curtains fall, and the truth catches up. At the same time, the movie also gives us a fascinating historical glimpse of the technological transformations inside Hollywood. As a mass communication art, the industry is forced to adapt quickly to what the public demands, making a 180-degree, turning a silent movie into a spoken and sounded film, transforming the production while still trying to keep the show alive.
Make them laugh. Don't you know everyone wants to laugh?
Because behind the chaos, one truth has to remain.
But what's the first thing an actor learns? The show must go on.
But in order to achieve that, Hollywood needs real talent. And that's when Kathy Selden, surprised by reality, is thrown into a path she never thought was hers. Claiming to dislike cinema while at the same time being a reader of gossip magazines, after a first personnel encounter with Don Lockwood, now she knew every one of his movies. And when she met the real Don, the one behind the studio image, she discovers that yes, Hollywood can be rotten, shallow, and corrupt, but at the same time, it can also produce true art, build dreams, and be marvelous. It all comes down to the people who are there. Not by chance, it's with Kathy's help and the loyalty of his friend Cosmo that Don manages to reinvent himself and find a way forward during the technological revolution. Though he briefly saw himself as a fraud, believing that his Hollywood work wasn't dignified, as Kathy once pointed out. Now, together, they prove that with real friendship and collaboration, it is still possible to make true art in the midst of chaos. Here, we find the main symbolism and hidden meaning of the movie. A rainy day always represents problems. Nobody wants to leave home, and the sky turns gloomy. And indeed, storms in our lives might push us away, but in the middle of adversity and problems, and in the midst of chaos, it all depends on how we choose to face the situation. The film invites us to change our perspective. Even in the rain, in the middle of chaos and problems, it calls us to look beyond, to realize that a way out can be found, and that the sun can shine again at the end of the day. As stated in the title itself, singing in the rain becomes a symbol of facing struggles with joy, of dancing in the face of danger, because together, with our friends, our families, and the people around us, we may find a way forward. It's no coincidence that Kathy herself comes to understand that cinema is indeed an art, a dignified profession that, just like any other art, depends on the artist behind it. Together, it's still possible to create something meaningful within this industry, which can be wonderful even while being rotten in its backstage. In fact, this very paradox of Hollywood reveals where true art comes from. It is actually made right in the middle of chaos and pressure. It may seem swallowed up by arrogance and rot, by those who try to humiliate others while chasing their own glory. But true art is the reflection of the artist's inner world, of their deepest struggles and dramas. Therefore, real artists manage to sing in the rain, training the eye and helping us find what is good and transcendent even in the middle of chaos, showing that, through dignified work, together, we can still lift people up and elevate the audience through true art. In other words, storms will come in our lives, but the true art, singing in the rain, happens when we learn to transform the ordinary prose of each day into heroic poetry.